that going. Okay, excellent. So as we go through, please, if you have questions, type that in the chat box. Another way you could ask a question is to raise your hand. Jane is going to be helping me looking at people's screens and looking for questions and finding the right time to ask those questions. And another way that you could ask a question, if you don't want to type it out in the chat box, in the chat, you can say question, and then we can call on you and you can ask that question in person. So please feel free to ask those questions. And after every course we talk about, we will have the opportunity for questions. So stay tuned for that. So before we begin our instructor showcase, we like to start all of our brown bags with our land acknowledgement. So we acknowledge that Cal Poly Humboldt is located on the unceded lands of the Wiyot people. Arcata is known as Gudini, meaning over in the woods or among the redwoods. We honor them and all neighboring tribes by our ongoing commitment to developing trusting, reciprocal, and long-lasting partnerships. Welcome everyone again to OLLI. This is one of our free, it wouldn't be a class, but a presentation that we provide to members and non-members alike. But the goal of OLLI is to create our opportunities for academic engagement, civic involvement, personal growth, and of course, fun. So we offer a myriad of classes and experiences for a vibrant community of learners aged 50 and better, and OLLI delivers learning for a lifetime. What is OLLI? We're the membership-based program. We are geared towards people 50 and better. Anyone can sign up for an OLLI class if they're 18 and older. So it is not limited to people 50 and older. However, we are really gearing and catering our classes to people 50 and above. Membership is $35 a year. So $35, and you can be signing up for classes and receiving the benefits that OLLI membership provides, which we'll talk about in a little bit. However, if you are a current faculty member at Cal Poly Humboldt or a retired faculty, it's $25 a year. And also if you are currently staff on Cal Poly campus. Some membership benefits include the lower class fees. So every class is $25 cheaper if you are an OLLI member. So that is a really great option if you're planning on even doing 2 classes. Becoming a member first will save you likely the cost of that second class in the long run. So it's a really great member benefit. Also, you'll receive a Cal Poly Humboldt email if you choose to use that. That comes with some other perks like getting the full access to Zoom, which is just a better Zoom experience. You can also be getting a Jack Pass to take the bus at a discounted rate. You get student discounts at local businesses because you can actually get your Humboldt ID from the library. You can access the library, use the help desk in the library, the technology help desk in the library, and get books from the library on campus by using that student ID. And you get a discount at our gym and rec center. So we are going to be discussing today the classes that are offered for our summer 2025 term. Our catalog is online this term. So we typically print out our catalogs, but for summer, because there's only about 10 classes we're offering, we're doing that online only. So you can find that by going to our OLLI website, go to courses, and it'll have everything listed, and it'll also have a link to that catalog. And that's what we're discussing today. Registration opens tomorrow. So if you see a class today in this brown bag and you're like, wow, I really want to do that. If you are already a member, you can get signed up right away tomorrow. If you're not a member, you can also be signing up, and we will be registering you in a few days to give our members a priority registration. Now, if you can't stay for this entire brown bag and you need to get signed out, or if there's a brown bag that you see in the future and you can't make, we actually upload all of our brown bags to our YouTube channel. So if you go onto our website, you can see missed a presentation, check out the archive on YouTube. That's the link that takes you directly to the YouTube channel, which is also now on the screen in the purple box. It's youtube.com/@OLLI Humboldt. You will see the archive of every single brown bag Jane has hosted for us in the last, I don't know how far back it goes, but we have 153 videos when we created this presentation. So we have a lot to go through. So feel free, if you need to check out of this early, you can always go back and watch this.
I think it goes back as far as 2020.
Wow.
At least. There may be some before that. And I do want to interrupt and give you the opportunity to meet Julie Stewart, who is obviously leading this and hosting this. She is our new interim OLLI program coordinator, and we presume she'll end up being our final one. But she has proudly called Humboldt County home for over 15 years. She began as a student, became a community member, and now serves as university staff. She earned her BS from Humboldt State, completing her teaching credential, and is currently pursuing a master's degree in education from Cal Poly. Before joining OLLI, she served as the office coordinator in the Provost's office. In that role, she worked closely with faculty and administrators across the campus and gained valuable experience in supporting academic initiatives and campus-wide collaboration. Valuable experience for working with OLLI. Her previous work also included managing educational programs at center activities, now defunct or transferred, and the Sequoia Park Zoo, and leading a classroom as a middle school science teacher. She's a very graceful presenter, by the way. Her goal, as she sees it now, is to help OLLI grow in meaningful and sustainable ways, always keeping the spirit of learning and connection at the center of its work. And we hope you enjoy working with Julie. She's delightful, and she will be the ultimate decider of most issues that may arise. But she's fun to work with, and we're looking forward to her continuing with us. And we've had a lot of staff turnover in the last number of years, and we're hoping for stability so that it makes it easier to carry out our programs and get to know everybody. So thank you very much for coming. We have 23 people here, and I presume we'll get some more. So on you go, Julie.
Thank you for that introduction, Jane. I really appreciate it. Okay, so welcome everyone. We're going to get started with this brown bag, which is our instructor showcase for summer 2025. So during this, each instructor who's present will have time to talk about their class and answer any questions from the audience. So again, if you have a question, typing that in the chat box is great. Or if you don't want to type everything out, you can always just type in the chat box question and we call on you. And of course, if you're on camera, you can always raise your hand and we will be taking a look at the screens to see who might have a question. So thank you all for being here. Not all of our instructors are able to make it. So for those instructors, I will be sharing a bit about the class and answering questions on behalf of that instructor. So here's a glimpse of all of our classes that we're doing this summer. We're not going to be presenting in order, but we are going to be presenting about all of these classes. So the descriptions and more details, how to register, registration dates, all of those are found in our catalog. So be sure after this presentation, go onto our website. If you receive our OLLI newsletter, we have links in the newsletter. If you're not getting our OLLI newsletter, I recommend it because that's where we send out the most information for people to stay up to date. But also, if you're getting any emails from OLLI, we sent that out, I believe, last Friday in a summer catalog OLLI email. So lots of ways to get to that online catalog. That's where you'll see the registration deadlines and all the information that we're sharing today. Okay, so to get us started, we have Jerry Sainer. Jerry Sainer, we are so grateful for. He has been a part of OLLI for a long time and is continuously teaching courses for us. So I want to introduce Jerry quickly. So Jerry retired in July of 2014 from Humboldt State University after 18 years working as a cook, custodian, and campus recycler in the Department of Sustainability. He is a Humboldt State University alumni. Jerry has taught cooking classes, helped to teach the campus community about recycling, and has been a dungeon master for the past 30 years for a local gaming group. He's been teaching pickleball for OLLI since fall of 2017. Jerry has also enjoyed role-playing games and board games for over 30 years. He previously taught a class for OLLI to teach students how to play the Command and Colors War board game. And he also offers a special interest group, or has offered a special interest group based on mainstream board games as of fall 2024. And this coming fall, he will be doing another spin on games for a course that he has proposed with role-playing games and activities. So thank you so much, Sherry, and I'm turning it over to you. Oh, I don't hear you.
No. No. You hear me?
Yes, it's just quiet, but
Can you hear now?
yes, thank you.
Better? Better?
Mhm.
Okay.
Can you turn it up even a little bit more, Jerry?
Yeah, I just turned up my headset. Is that better?
Much better.
Okay, let me do a little more.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So thank you everybody who's tuned in to all this. I've been playing basically, when you retire, people go, "What are you going to do?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to do nothing and enjoy it." Because I retired when I was 65 and been working most of my life. But my wife said, "Well, let's see what we can find for something to do." And she saw, I don't know if you guys remember Dave Silverbrand. He had his senior moments on Wednesdays and during the news hour. And so we were watching the news, and my wife says, "Oh, look, there's Mario." And Mario's a friend of ours that we played badminton with back in, 70s. And he was playing this thing called pickleball. And they were talking about it, and they played. They were down. I think they filmed the clip down at the Adorney, but they were talking about they were playing at the community center here in Arcata. So I went over there, check it out, and it's like, oh, this is probably something I could do. And I walked in and, ready to play essentially. And somebody recognized me from, and said, "Oh, hi, have you ever done this before?" I said, "No, but I've played badminton and tennis and racquetball and handball." And they go, "Okay, well, here's a paddle, here's a ball." We hit it a couple times, and we walked. This is on the court with three other people, and they're like, "Okay, it's your serve, 0-0-2." And I'm like, "Really? Oh, okay." So that was my introduction to pickleball, and so that's why I, thought, well, after about 2 or 3 months of playing, I could probably teach this because the basics are not hard, and there's a lot of information out on the internet that you can go and see people, professionals play and teach. And so that's how I got started was I tell my students you're going to get, you know, 4 or 5, 6 hours more of instruction than you would if you just walked in like I did. And I think that helps people get started. But pickleball looks like you're playing tennis, but actually it plays more like ping pong or badminton. There's elements of tai chi, fencing, and pickleball is more like badminton and ping pong because it's not a waiting game. It's not a baseline game. You're not standing at the back of the court waiting for the ball to come to you. you actually move up to about 7 feet, literally 7 feet from the net, and that's kind of where the game's played. We use looks like an oversized ping pong paddle. It's about this big, and we use wiffle balls, plastic wiffle balls that are highly engineered, and they're about $18 for three. But it's a very accessible and affordable sport because um, if you get the higher end paddles that the pros themselves use, um, 250, 275, but most of them are guaranteed for life. So if you just happen to damage it, you can get a new paddle. But that's it. Paddle will last you a lifetime. Pickleballs can last for months, and so it's a good investment, return on investment for equipment, and it is very social. You need at least one person to play singles, and normally what you find around here is doubles. So as the little picture shows there, so that picture is actually from a clinic that they did a few years ago at the Muni in Eureka, and so you can see the nets and the people with their paddles and stuff. But the court itself is exactly the same size as a badminton court, and you it plays, like I said, it plays more like ping pong in the sense you play the ball out in front of you. You're not at the baseline, and but the social part is probably why a lot of people show up. A game takes 10 minutes at the most. And if you're in a situation where there's more people than there are courts available at the moment, we rotate in and out. So we try to make sure everybody gets to play. If you show up, we have, I think, 14 venues now between our indoor and outdoor locations. And it's if you go to the Adorney and you have silver sneakers, it's free. And the other indoor venues are all based on sessions, and they're $2 to $3 a session. All the outdoor courts are free, and you just go. We do have our pride and joy on the North Coast is the new Carlson Park, which is just off Gentoli, where where the Dutch Bros is on Gentoli Lane, and you head towards the river. We're about a good stone's throw from the river there. They built us a brand new court dedicated to pickleball with permanent nets, which you don't find that on the North Coast at all. Most places are repurposed or double purpose tennis courts where we put those portable nets that you can see up there. And so you can get a tennis on a regular tennis court, you can get a pickleball court on either side. So it's better. It's you can accommodate more people. But anyway,
Great. Jerry,
yeah, I don't know what else to say.
I did want to point out, so Jerry's doing
Yeah.
2 classes. They're both,
Right.
Introduction. You could show up with no experience. You could show up with a lot of experience. It's sort of a brief overview of the rules, how to hold the paddle, and then you play. But there's 2 options. So you're signing up
Right.
either for July 13th or for August 3rd. If you wanted to sign up for both, you can. But I just want to make it clear that it's 2 different sessions. It's not one class with 2 sessions, if that makes sense. You sign up for them separately.
It's a pickleball boot camp, is what I call it.
How long, what kind of condition do you have to be in to play?
So as we were talking about earlier, there are people who who are in wheelchairs and play, and they're highly specialized, like the racing wheelchairs. So mobility is probably always the biggest concern, but you don't have to be in top physical shape. We all would all want to be, but if it's not like tennis where you got that huge space you need to cover and you're always playing with somebody. So if you can, if you're mobile enough to move, walk. I just walk a lot. people say, you know, you don't move much. And I go, no, I don't want to. You know, I minimize my movement so that I can, you know, keep my energy up. But if if you're walking a lot, you're working too hard at the game. We let the kids run around and play, but you don't, and it's you don't have to be in. You know, I've got one replaced knee. My wife had both of hers, so you know you don't have to be in top physical shape to play. Any if you can get out there and walk, you can play, and any exercise is good. So even if you're just out there, what we call dinking the ball, like kind of what these folks are doing here, uh, you can play a game of pickleball.
So if you go to a venue, and you get a court and you play, are you limited to one game depending on what the line is? How's that work?
Right. So usually, most of our venues have some sort of I call it who goes next system. Some are mostly they're more formal than others. So we'll have like a whiteboard, and it has squares, and the idea being that your group fills up one square, and then the next group fills up the next square, and you go out and play, and then when you're done, you come off and you find the next available square, or an empty square, or a square that needs players. But the idea is to keep everybody in play as much as you can. And so uh, but also trying to keep people from, you know, you can't run over and put your, put your, like, have an extra paddle or something that you would put out there. They go, oh, well, I'm next. We try to keep people from doing those sort of things. But the thing is everybody wants to play and everybody wants it to be fair. So we all try to monitor to make sure that people are not trying to cut line or anything. But anytime we have a group that has more, when we have more people than we have courts, people will figure out a way. Most places have a way to figure out who goes next, and those that don't have something, people are pretty good about making sure. And that's kind of, I've played in LA, walked onto a court, you know, a pickleball, there was like 5 or 6 nets there as a big group. They didn't know me, I didn't know them. And they're like, come on out, you know, play. And then they made sure I played because they knew I was a visitor, and I was trying to represent for Humboldt. And so that was good. That shows, and every place I've ever played, it's always been that way, as people are very, you know, try to make sure you play, and once you
Jerry,
show, yeah.
are there places where you can go if you're older? Like I'm 82 years old, and I go to the Adorney Center for
Right,
exercise,
right,
but I don't do pickup. I don't do pickleball.
right.
So
Is there a senior only moments that we
yes,
have?
uh
The
Well,
OLLI class is a good option.
yeah, the Ollie class. So the the problem is I, you know, I know there isn't. I mean, we've tried different things, uh, but that's interesting because Silver Sneakers, which is, you know, a senior association for seniors, right? And I've one time since I've been getting those notices that I've seen pickleball. Like, hey, pickleball is a good exercise. And so, but trying, you know, it's like I wrote them and said, you know, you could be doing classes like at the Adorney where we have Silver Sneakers, where you can specifically have an age bracket, or, you know, because skill and age don't always correspond. Um, but I think that's a viable idea, but trying to get that into other than like OLLI, where we have, you know, the demographic is older, but it used to be a lot older when I first started doing this. But like I said, it's gotten, even my OLLI classes are getting younger.
Discovery. This will take a few moments.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the audience before we move on?
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jerry, for doing
yeah.
this. I look forward to taking it one of these days. It'll be fun.
All right.
I've heard
Sounds
a
good.
lot about it.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. All right. So next up, we have Paul Bordeaux. Paul Bordeaux is the director of the Telonaker Marine Lab up in Trinidad, as well as a marine biology and ecology professor. So that means he is currently working even through summer because he is the director of the Marine Lab. So he is not able to be here with us today, but I can give you a little bit of information and then we'll describe his class. So Paul is a marine biologist and was born and raised in southeastern Massachusetts, just outside of Boston. He got his undergraduate and master's degree in biology and marine biology, respectively, at the University of Massachusetts, Dartmouth, and a PhD in ecology and evolution at Stony Brook University. After a 4-year postdoc in the Department of Fisheries and Wildlife at Michigan State University, he began teaching at Humboldt in 2014, and he most recently began the director position at the Marine Lab in the last couple of years. So this photo is of Paul during our spring term teaching the climate change on the California coast class, where people were getting a tour of the Marine Lab and before going and learning more about how climate change is affecting our coastline. So Tide Pool Humboldt, we're really excited about for this summer. It is a field trip. The cost is $60. The way it's going to work is people are going to be meeting at the Marine Lab in Trinidad at 8 a.m. because we do need to time this with low tide. So it's starting at the Marine Lab where you will learn a bit about the biodiversity and ecology at the Humboldt coastline. Paul's also going to share how to plan tide pooling trips, so talking about tides and how you what you need to look out for, as well as safety tips and ways to do tide pooling while still keeping the ecology and the animals and critters intact and safe, as well as keeping you safe. So it's starting in person in the Marine Lab to go over that sort of brief introduction, how-tos, what to look for, and then we're all going to go down to the water in Trinidad and actually participate in some tide pooling. It's going to be really great. I'm looking forward to it. I hope I can be attending this one as well. So it's inside as well as outside. The distance for walking is not much. So if you are concerned about this being a hike, it would not be considered a hike. It's a lecture followed by the actual tide pooling down at the beach. So this is going to be Saturday, July 12th. This is our first class taking place this summer. And something to keep in mind with all of our courses is the deadline to register is 3 days before the class. So this would be July 9th would be the deadline to register for. Are there any questions about Tide Pool Humboldt?
I'd just like to say one thing. This is Mike. I know this pretty well. I spent a lot of time on the water. And this past weekend, like last Friday, there was a really low tide, and what you could see was astonishing. I was good fortune. One of the people paddling with me is a young woman from Humboldt, and she's a marine biologist. She's in her 3rd year. And what she could point out, I mean, I thought I knew a lot, but I would highly recommend this. And like you said, it's really easy access from the beach, and it's just spectacular. So can't say enough good things about that particular program. Yeah, and that's a really great venue for people to really see what's out there.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
The tide was way out on Sunday morning. I was amazed. I hadn't seen it so far out in a long time.
I was out on Friday and then again on Sunday, and Sunday it was out, but you should have seen it on Friday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, it had like waves, as if it were sand dunes in what is normally the beach.
Yep.
Somebody
Yeah.
had built a fabulous sandcastle.
So Paul did choose this date because it is the lowest tide within our summer term. So hopefully it'll also be a great day for it. Any other questions? Great.
People who have attended these classes have totally enjoyed it, by the way.
And Paul's a great instructor, and he actually does it with one of his current master's students, Kiana. And she is really passionate about educating people about the animals, not just studying them, and about the ocean and climate change. So it's a really great example of how, current faculty on campus, they can share their expertise, but also be giving an opportunity for their graduate students or students to share what they're studying and what they're learning. So it was a really great class in spring. We didn't do tide pooling, but we learned about, the ecology and climate change on the coast. So they're definitely going to be tying in that information before you go and do the observing and the tide pooling.
Does the class start out at the Marine Lab and then go out to a tide pool?
Yes. All right, let's go over to Allie McCall, who is with us today. So Allie has been teaching yoga since 2009. After becoming a mom in 2012, she noticed the importance of yoga for her own mental health. She began advocating self-care for moms and families, teaching the importance of self-care for a healthy family system. Allie inspires businesses and individuals to incorporate daily self-care practices into their busy lives and encourages them to model self-care for their families, friends, coworkers, and families. And Allie is a new instructor for OLLI, but clearly has a ton of teaching experience with this hands-on mobility and taking care of our bodies. So Allie.
Julie, let me interrupt for a second because Casey had her hand up with a question.
Oh no, I was just giving applause. Welcome, Allie.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry about that.
Thank you. Yeah, so hi everybody, I'm Allie McCall. My class is going to be self-massage as self-care through the ages. So we're going to be using these yoga tune-up balls. They come in a net and you can use it as a pair or one at a time. These balls are going to be provided and you get to take them home. So that's kind of you get really attached to them in the class. And so you'll get to take them home and then hopefully keep using them, every day. So the goal of learning self-massage, or I just call it ball rolling, is to empower you to be your own best self-care advocate. You're getting skills and tools to manage your pain, to reduce stress, and to hopefully just help your body feel better. So what is self-myofascial release? So myofascial release is basically massage. So self-myofascial release is self-massage. You're targeting the fascia. So myofascial is muscle fascia. Fascia is connective tissue that is running all throughout your body. It's kind of like a web. It's connecting and holding your muscles and bones and organs all together. So when our fascia is injured or stiff or tight or stuck, there's usually more pain. And so we use the balls as a tool to help open up and lubricate the fascia and release and stretch so that you can have more mobility, you're less stuck and you're less stiff. One analogy I like to use for fascia is you think of an orange. So the orange peel is the skin, and inside the orange, there's this kind of white stuff that's holding it together. So that's kind of like fascia. It's like around and through. And one thing that's really interesting is how it's all connected in your body. So for example, if you're somebody who's got an injury, you've rolled your ankle many, many times, it could be affecting your back. So a lot of times people have back pain and they're looking at their back and trying to fix their back. But really, if you look all the way down at your feet and check, build the strength in your feet and open up the muscles in your feet, it can help all the way up the chain. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. I'll have a little bit of lecture. We're just kind of talking about body, fascia. I'll have visuals. But then we're basically I'm gonna run you through like a full body self massage. So we'll start at our feet and work our way up the legs, glutes, and get into your back, shoulders, arms, even hands, jaw. We'll probably do some breath work and gentle functional movement stretches as well. Let me see, I have some notes, see if I want to say anything else. So the benefits of self-massage is it'll help release tension. It'll hydrate your tissues, support posture and alignment. It just improve body awareness, breath awareness, help reduce stress, anxiety. And it's really good for anybody because you're in charge of the pressure. So, if you're getting a massage from someone, you might want harder, you might want softer, but when you're in control of the location of the ball and how much pressure you're putting on there. And I'll give you lots of techniques and ways to make it more or less. And it's great if you're somebody who sits at a desk, if you're reading the smartphone all the time, if you're sitting a lot or driving a lot or traveling, if you're somebody who's really physical or has an old injury, if you've had surgery, this is all really good recovery for that too. So I think that's all I have to say. Any questions?
So part of the cost, the $55, is the 2 balls.
Yes, you're going to get to take them home. And I'll show you how to use them together and singly apart too.
Does this really help with your balance?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
In what ways?
Well, especially like I chose this foot picture because that's my favorite. If you're not going to roll anything else, working your feet will help with balance because you're loosening up feet between the bones and the muscles and the joints. But also the connective tissue at the bottom of your foot goes all the way up the back of your leg. It's connected. If you dissected this out of your body, it's from the toes all the way up the bottom of the foot, the back of the leg, all the way up your back, all the way to your eyebrows is like one piece of connective tissue. So if you're ball rolling your feet, you could be helping a headache, which I think is fascinating. And I'll show more pictures on that and stuff in the class. But yeah, just lubricating the fascia, opening up your joints, stretching your muscles is all going to help with balance. And even doing this ball rolling on your foot, you have to balance to do it, which we could also do it sitting in a chair if that's a problem, or we could do it standing at a wall. So there'll be lots of ways to modify. You can do things standing up, you can do them sitting in a chair, you can do them laying on the ground. So I'll show you lots of different ways to play with it.
Do you advise it for people with neuropathy?
Yes, I think it's fine. We just want to be gentle, but it could help.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Any
Have
other
you given this
questions?
course before?
I haven't taught it through OLLI, but I've done lots of ball rolling workshops around town, and I teach weekly yoga classes, and I bring ball rolling into my yoga classes, but I really wanted to emphasize only ball rolling for this.
We appreciate your doing this class. I'm very interested. Thank you.
I'm excited. Thanks.
Does anybody else have questions? Yes, no? Okay.
Great. So this one is going to be July 31st. So there is still a bit of time to register. That deadline is July 28th to register for the class. But we do fill up classes, so keep that in mind. If you wait until the last minute, there might not be space. Okay, so our next instructor, many of you know, Dane Oppenborn is, he's calling himself the technology educator because he is. He's also our OLLI program specialist, acting an interim role. So before Dane came to our campus, he was actually working for, what is that? Like the Nerd Squad or something. There's
Geek Squad.
Geek Squad, yes. Yeah, so he worked for Geek Squad, so he is very knowledgeable. Anytime we have issues with technology in the office, we are calling for Dane. So he's great, and he is a longtime OLLI member and helper. He used to be a student assistant for OLLI, and now is staff helping out the OLLI program. So Dane is great, and let's see. Yeah, he's been working with OLLI since 2022 as a student assistant. He graduated from Cal Poly Humboldt in 2023 with a bachelor's in English writing practices. Since he was a student assistant, Dane has been working and educating lifelong learners on how to use digital technology safely and efficiently. So the focus for this class is you are going to be getting a crash course on how to use a variety of digital tools available in Google Workspace. So that includes Google Docs, Google Slides, Google Sheets, Google Drive, and Calendar. So the class will demonstrate how all of these tools interact with each other and what you might use them for. So more and more people are transitioning onto these Google Workspace sheets and documents, because the real benefit of using these is you don't have to be sending things in an email. Instead, you could be typing up a letter, you could be typing up an idea, doing a spreadsheet, and then there's a share option where it goes and emails someone from that document. So Dane's going to break down how that works and some easy ways that you could be incorporating that. Or if someone shares something with you, hey, I sent you a Google document, instead of saying, wait, what do you mean? You would know the basis of what that is and be able to use that in your life and hopefully create some more ease when it comes to communications in the virtual space. So this is in person. It's going to be Thursday, July 17th. This is a case where it is free, but if you're an OLLI member. So this is one of those perks of being an OLLI member where we do offer some classes that are members only. So if you're a non-member, this would not be an option for you, but if you are, then it's free. Are there any questions?
He's really good. It would be advisable to bring your computer or smartphone or whatever device you use, and he'll work with you to show you how to use it. He'll demo it and then work with you. He's really great.
Yes.
Bird, you have a question?
Yes, where in Arcata is it?
So if you register for the class, we'll give you the specific location. I'm not sure if we have that exact spot. It's either going to be at the Stewart building or on campus.
Thank you.
And Bob, I see your
Yeah.
hand.
I was just wondering if it was going to be an online class or in person. The difference.
Yeah,
In
it will be
person.
in person. That way Dane can sort of walk you through things, and if you have your own computer with you, he'll be able to sort of look on your computer and help hands-on. So it is in person.
So you have to have a laptop, or could you use a iPad?
You can use an iPad.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you could also come to the class and learn about it and not be doing anything on your computer. You can be getting the information, but it probably is helpful for you to have one in front of you so that you can click around as he's talking about each function. Any other questions?
He's not impatient. He has the patience of Job.
He's great.
Good sense of humor also.
All right, so that leads us to Bob. Bob, thank you for being here. Bob is also a longtime OLLI instructor and participant. So Bob has lived in Humboldt County since 1969 and has been interested in local history. He attended Humboldt State College and then called university, graduated and then found work as a chef, then a writer, editor, and photographer for local publications. He currently lives in Arcata with his wife, and they run an Airbnb near the university. He loves to tell stories about his neighborhood. So, Bob, I'm handing it to you.
Hey, so I've started a series of classes based around the work of a historian named Susie Van Kirk. She died in 2015. I knew her before that. Susie was involved with the research, the history of Arcata and Humboldt County in general. She started out as a student a master's student at Humboldt State in biology. She worked first on saving the redwoods with the Sierra Club, and Lucille, I can't remember her last name. But anyway, she in the early 70s, she got involved in researching the architecture and the land use in Arcata in particular. And this was a time when the division between the university and the city became really evident when they had a plan, Caltrans had a plan for a 6-lane highway through the middle of Arcata. And Susie got involved in a group called Stop at 4. They didn't want a 6-lane freeway, they wanted a 4-lane. And this was at the time, at the end of the 60s, into the 70s, when the young people were standing up for what's going on in their lives and how that worked on a local basis, like think global, act local. So Susie was hired by the city to do a historical analysis of the architecture of Arcata. She put together a book which is available at the library or online through the city's website that details all the different houses and the businesses. And she used those as a basis for this. I can't see myself.
We can see it.
Yeah, this booklet, which is walking tours of Arcata. Now, she did 2 of them. One is Arcata Plaza, which is what I'm going to be starting with. Last session, I did walk through the northern Arcata area. That was starting at Stewart School, going down to Wildberries, and then back to Stewart School. That was mostly focusing on the housing. This will be different. This is businesses of Arcata are on the plaza, and there's a lot of them. Cramming them all into one walk is going to be a little difficult. So I think I'm going to focus on the Jacoby Storehouse in one corner of the plaza, across from the post office, and then we'll jump across the street to the Hotel Arcata and the history of the both those buildings, and also a history of a building that Susie was particularly interested in, which was the Arcata City Hall, which is now the building across the street from the hotel. It's was torn down right in 1970 when I was living on the plaza. I initially, when I came to Arcata, I lived on campus on in a trailer. It was a temporary housing, and I was living in a trailer, which is now the where the soccer field is, by the gates, 14th Street gates there. So I moved out of Arcata for a while, moved back to Arcata. I lived for a while on D Street in a house that was torn down for the freeway. While they were reducing the size of the freeway, I was living there in the middle of it all. And I saw the neighborhood change. It continues to change today. So the second part of my walk will be, it's a different, east side, which is my neighborhood. I started out living in the east side in the trailer, and then eventually I moved away to McKinleyville for a long time. Then when my father died, my mother moved up here. We bought a house with her, right by 14th Street on 12th Street. So that's our house now. And so when I moved here was around 2005, I think. And the university had a plan to demolish our entire neighborhood and have it be high density student housing. Where my house is now was going to be the soccer field. The university pulled back their plan because we formed a Bayview, it's called the Bayview Neighborhood Association. We formed the organization and said, we don't want you to do this. And they said, okay. So they built the complex on the other side of the freeway, or the other side of 14th Street. So that was one history. There's right across the kitty corner from my house is what is now the Children's Center, Cal Poly Humboldt Children's Center, that was another battle of our neighborhood because they were going to tear down the building. The Trinity Hospital was there. The Trinity Hospital was going to be demolished and replaced with a parking lot. We got them to change their mind again, and they built a children's center. So that'll be one part of this the walk. We're going to start out at D Street Neighborhood Center, which was a building which is now a city-owned building where it was partly for a while it was a community center, but now it's a neighborhood center. That building was pulled back from the path of the freeway. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the back side of the building is a giant mural of David Josiah Lawson, who was a Black student who was murdered in the Sunset District. And that'll be part of the tour. There's a lot of going on here. There's also across the street, there's the little wedge of land where 14th Street, you get off the freeway there, there's a redwood tree there, which was declared by the student body president of Humboldt State College at the time. That was the Ronald Reagan Memorial Redwood Grove, because Ronald Reagan said, one redwood, you've seen one redwood, you've seen them all. So the protests that they gave a speech there. There's houses that in the neighborhood which were moved from elsewhere. We're just about to on the edge of reconstruction of the campus. We'll get into some of that too. The Children's Center was in 2 old houses, which have been recently demolished. So there's a lot going on, and I'm going to fit all this into a walk for a couple of hours. I don't know how it all fit, but we'll start and stop at the food cart next door to D Street Center. I'm planning on lunch at Ramon's. Ramon's. Anyway, and
Great. Thank you, Bob. I have a couple questions. So
Yeah.
for the Arcata Plaza or the East Side tour, what would you say, you know, how challenging are the walks in terms of like hills or stairs, things like that?
Well, the plaza, we're going to start. My plan is to start at the Jacoby Storehouse.
Mhm.
So you just be walking across the street to the hotel. So that's pretty easy walk. You know, just across the plaza.
Okay.
And then the next one will be a little more involved, but not very much. We're going to stick primarily close to the D Street Center. The Children's Center is just a block away from there. The gates are another part of the Humboldt Gate, and we're probably not going to go on campus, but we'll go up and around, not too far. I mean, potentially it could include the Phillips House, which is the museum for the Arcata area. That might be too much of a walk. I'm going to try it on myself because I'm on semi. I'm not getting around as much as I used to, so I'm not sure
Okay,
exactly. It will not be too much of a walk.
Yeah, and not too much up some steep hills that I know we do have in town, but it sounds like where you are, it's going to be primarily flat and little bit of incline. Any other questions from the audience for Bob?
I know you've had walks before that have been very much enjoyed by the participants. So whoever gets a chance to do this will learn a lot about Arcata.
Yeah. I think the first walk I did was probably a bit ambitious for distance, but you're trying to cram up too much stuff into the walk. But this time I'm gonna try to edit myself a little better.
I had a problem with that once. I scheduled a forest trek for 2 hours and it took 3.5. So I learned.
All right, thanks, Bob. So the Arcata Plaza tour is July 18th. So that's the one coming up the soonest. And then the second tour, these are 2 different tours. The East Side tour that starts at D Street, that's August 1st. So 2 different opportunities. All right, so that brings us to Mike Zipeno, and Dan, I don't believe is here, Dan Chandler. But Mike, I would like to introduce quickly. So Mike has been a member of the OLLI Book Club since 2010. And around 2015-ish is when Mike and Dan took over the hosting duties for the monthly book club meetings. In addition to book club, Mike has been involved with OLLI as our kayaking instructor. He's been a sea kayaking instructor for more than a decade. And we are very grateful for Mike for his kayaking classes that he's done in the past, as well as continuing this book club for our members. So quickly about a book club this is a what we call a special interest group or a SIG. And so that means it is for OLLI members only. And it also means it runs year long. So that's the difference between a SIG, a special interest group, and typical class. A class is by term. And a SIG is for the entire term of our OLLI term. So from July 1st until June 30th, you would be a part of a special interest group. So with that, Mike, I will hand it over to you.
Great, thank you. Yeah, this is Mike Sapeno, and I have been a member of OLLI for a long time. And that really started back in, I worked for the Aquatic Center. We actually put together a program that we went to the university and said, how about we do something where we have our kayak club work with you folks to get people on the water. And we did that, and we were very successful for a lot of years. And in that process, then I got exposed to OLLI. In fact, we used to do tours where we would take OLLI members out on the bay, which was really delightful. And also we did trips like up to Big Lagoon and things like that. That's been tailored. It's not like it was before, but there is kind of a startup happening now. It's a little bit of new energy, so we'll see what happens. But I got involved in the book club because my wife has been a book club for a long time, and I was searching around for a book. I found one and went to the meeting, and it really wasn't what I wanted. It was more about cocktails and food. So I went back and I was talking to some of the people I knew from OLLI, and they said, well, there's this book club, and you can join it, which I did, and it was delightful. And what I really liked about it was we met at the Aquatic Center, and there was a room in the very back which had this big round table, which is perfect for book discussions. And it was just fantastic. And when I first joined, I was the only male, and it was just a delightful time. And then we've grown a little bit, but and then of course COVID came along, and then we started with Zoom, and we're still on Zoom. But one thing I do want to say is I can't say enough good things about the OLLI team and what they've done to help us. So because we've been doing Zoom for so long, there was some, do we want to start meeting again? Was one of the questions that came up. But we also have members that have immune problems, and coming on campus would be difficult. But Julie and Dane came up with a solution, which was let's try and hybrid where people that want to come on campus and meet, we can do that, and then bring the other people in Zoom. And we just did that for our June meeting, and it went pretty well. I mean, it was kind of a testing, but it was also nice to see a couple of people that, yes, you see them on the Zoom, but to see them in person was really wonderful. So much gratitude to the team. And I will say, I want to go back to, Dane, what he does. Dane is really amazing. He was there helping us. He set everything up, and everything we've ever needed to do. The OLLI team has just been wonderful. So I can't say enough good things. So the book group, we meet once a month, and it's always the third Wednesday of each month from 5 to 6:30. And one of the things I liked about when I joined the group is I asked if I can get a list of the books that they had read over the years since I joined. And it was amazing because it covered a little bit of everything from fiction to nonfiction to historical to biographies. Pretty amazing. So the group has been together for quite some time. And I know what happens is, and this took place like in May, we come together as a group, and what we ask each person to do is to bring in 2 books that they would like to recommend to the group. And we do ask that they do some homework on it. So maybe it's something, hopefully they've read it. And even if they haven't read it, if they've got some really good reviews and why they might recommend those books. And then what we do is, so the person presents their 2 books, and then the group decides, we vote on which one of their books we want to read for the year. And the reason we did that is because in the past, it wasn't set up that way. People could recommend a book or not recommend a book. And this really works because that way everybody gets a chance to recommend a book that we actually read. So we just covered, we just started in June with our first book, which was a book called Whale Fall, which we all really enjoyed. Um, and I'm particularly looking forward to a book that we're going to read in this month or next month. It's called The World on the Wing, which is it's an amazing book about bird migration throughout the world. So it's kind of a little bit of everything. And like I say, we've been together for a long while. And what we really enjoy, obviously, is people will present their book, and then when we read it, when we come to the meeting to read, there's just always lively discussions about books. I mean, there's some times where people didn't like the book, but the discussions are always really just incredible. So there's a real sense of people just coming to sharing what they learned from the book or what they liked or didn't like. And we've been doing this for a lot of years, and we plan on continuing it. So thank you very much to OLLI. I don't have much more to say other than if anybody has questions, I'd be happy to answer those for you.
Thank you, Mike. Any questions?
Can you join anywhere during the session? Do you have to be there at the very beginning, or can you join partway through the year?
You could join partway through the year. One thing that I will say is that we found from experience that we limited the group to 13, and we do have a waiting list. And so, we do pick up, people do drop out, not very often, but it does happen. And, so we do accommodate people that on a waiting list. And also I know that, and Julie brought it to my attention, there's a new book club that's starting that's going to be on mysteries. And so it's really exciting to have another book group will be offered through OLLI. So that's really a great thing, I think.
Yeah, the mystery book club is going to be starting in fall. That's why they're not presenting and present today, because this is all about summer. But because Mike's book club does have a wait list, it's still worthwhile to get on the wait list if this is something interesting to you, because Mike and Dan's book club, it's like he described, it's across genres, right? So if that's interesting to you, please contact us and we can get you on the wait list. And then the mystery book club is something that we'll be rolling out for fall, where that'll also be for the rest of the term, but it'll just be focused on mystery books. So a couple good options.
Excuse me, is the book club still on Zoom as well?
We are. I mean, we did this as a trial the other night and worked very closely with the OLLI team to do this hybrid. And I think it was really great to try it once, and we're not sure we'd want to do that every month. And that's going to be part of our discussion at our next meeting about, do we want to do this again? Or maybe we would do it, around right after the first of the year or something, but not necessarily every month. And the reason for that is because we do have people that some are former students here or people moving back to the area. And obviously their connection is through Zoom. So, as an example, and we had people that were also traveling this past month. So when we had the hybrid, there were just 3 of us that showed up in terms of being there, on campus, and then the others Zoomed in. So, and we may go to a hybrid, and like I say, stay tuned, because that's going to be part of our discussion, because we had the meeting and Dan just did a phenomenal job of showing how this thing can work. And I think he took away some things about we might want to think about improving. And like I say, that's going to be the first part of our meeting next month, is to talk about that and where we want to go with Zoom. I mean, I know we'll always will have Zoom, because there are people that don't feel comfortable coming out given their health situations.
You have another question. Do you read a book a month?
Yes. Yeah, and those books, again, it's picked because we when we do this kind of roundtable thing where we ask people to come in and present the 2 books that they'd like to recommend, and then we vote on one of those. And then that way like if you look at that list that I gave you folks, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, we selected enough books for the next 10 months. And we have a couple of people that will be rejoining us, and they will obviously bring their book recommendations to when they rejoin, which is most likely in September. So,
Great. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mike.
you're welcome.
All right, so Sarah Landis is our next instructor. She was unable to be here with us today, but I'm going to say a little bit about her and what her class is. So Sarah Landis is a pelvic floor physical therapist. After completing her undergrad and master's at Cal Poly Humboldt, she went on to complete her doctorate in physical therapy at University of St. Augustine. Sarah then returned to Humboldt County and has been practicing physical therapy for 10 years. Sarah earned her Women's Certified Specialist designation in 2022. She's now running her own private physical therapy practice called Access Physical Therapy and is the director of the Biomechanics Lab and lecturer at Cal Poly Humboldt. So Sarah has taught many classes for us, specifically about this sort of pelvic floor and how that's affecting the other parts of people's bodies. She has had really great turnout in previous classes because she is not only very knowledgeable, but she's a really excellent presenter. She's fun, she's really engaging, and she is very comprehensive in what she knows about anatomy and the human body. So the class that she is offering for summer is going to be Wednesday, July 23rd. It is how to move and breathe with your pelvic floor. So it's a similar class to what she has done in the spring term, but it is different because there's an active component to it. So she says about her class, you will reconnect with your pelvic floor through education, breath work, and mindful movement. In this outdoor class, you will learn pelvic floor anatomy, function, and common changes that occur with aging. We will then do movements, including breath-focused exercises, postural awareness, stretching, and strength building to support bladder health, balance, and overall vitality. So this is another class that will start indoors where there will be a lecture component, pictures, description about what you are talking and learning about, and then it'll transition to an outdoor space, weather dependent, where you will actually be doing movements and practicing how to be working with your pelvic floor for that long-term physical health. So this is Wednesday, July 23rd, and that means you need to register by July 18th, which is in a few weeks. Are there any questions about this class?
I'll just comment that I took it. It was phenomenal. It was full class and she's very dynamic. You'll learn a lot and you'll be surprised by some of the things you learn. It'll be very directly beneficial.
So is that on campus?
It was up at the kinesiology lab. I don't know where it's going to be this time. Do you, Julie?
But just to be clear, though, she does teach different kinds of classes. So there is a balance class that she does where you go in and you assess your balance and then you learn about what that means. And this is separate where it's all about pelvic floor and doing movements with the pelvic floor. So this class is going to be at the Stewart building.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
There's lots of green grass outside because it's a playground, so we'll probably be ending up out there.
Yes, hopefully, if it's nice weather, not too hot, not too wet. All right, so that brings us to Steve St. Thomas. Again, Steve St. Thomas has been part of OLLI for a long time as a participant and also as an instructor. So Steve earned a journalism degree from Northwestern University and has been writing articles for newspapers and magazines for the past 30 years. His work has appeared in more than 65 publications, from Time Magazine and the Denver Post to the North Coast Journal. And in addition to being a writer, he is also a permaculturist on his at his home, on his property, and that is the focus of his upcoming class, Intro to Permaculture. So Steve, I will hand it to you.
Well, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay, I'm having some tech difficulties here, so I may disappear, but I'm hoping I won't. I'm Steve, and thank you, Julie and Jane. Permaculture is really about it kind of sounds like it's about gardening, but it's really more than that. It's about sustainability, how to live sustainably. And, you know, we've been trying to sort of save the planet our entire lives. And now we're coming to realize we also have to save the people, because climate change isn't going to kill the planet. It's going to kill us. So saving the planet, saving the people, moving that all together in terms of ecological and sustainable living is at the heart of permaculture design. So on the picture here, you can see that's one of our greenhouses on the homestead that we're developing in McKinleyville. The course will be on site, so you can see the carbon, water, and solar systems that we're working. You need obviously solar, water, and soil to sustain life. And so we're building soil, we're gathering solar gain and collecting water and a whole bunch of other systems that work together to create a more sustainable homestead for us and a more sustainable neighborhood and community for McKinleyville. I'm going to be drawing from a couple of books. Maybe you heard of Gaia's Garden by Toby Hemingway. He's a premier permaculturist, now deceased, from Oregon. He also wrote The Permaculture City, and that's about community scale permaculture. So designing your own place and helping to design networks and sustainability throughout your neighborhood and community are all part of this class. So people can come and see for themselves what we can be doing now, besides wringing our hands about the headlines, things we can do to sequester carbon, to build resilience, and feed ourselves. So that's the class.
Thanks.
Hey, thank you.
Good, I made it without being disconnected.
Now, the beauty of it is, because I have taken it and it keeps evolving, and you can go and see exactly how it works in the context of your own backyard. What you can build, what you can create. It takes time, but you get to see a water system, you get to see the solar system, you get to see how the planting is set up. He has all kinds of stuff, and it keeps evolving over time. So it's really interesting, and it gives you ideas about what you can do in your own yard, which is very important. And you know, any questions you want to ask, he's going to answer. He's been doing this for years. And you were formerly a reporter, wasn't that correct?
I was a reporter.
Yeah.
What did you say, Jay?
Weren't you a reporter at one time?
I'm not hearing you.
Oh. I think you were a reporter
Yes,
at one
yeah,
time,
right.
weren't you?
That's my training and background.
Yeah. What brought you to?
Yeah, that's my
What brought
background.
you here to?
So I used to write about it. Now I'm doing it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, the connection is good. Huh?
My wife and I both worked in a daily newspaper in Colorado. My wife and I were both journalists at a daily paper in Colorado. That was our last corporate journalism job. The whole profession has imploded, cutting headcount like crazy. We got out and migrated to a different kind of livelihood, which has to do with sustainability and permaculture. We decided to move to one of the greenest places we could find. We took 3 years to find it, and it's McKinleyville. So here we are. Thanks.
You know, it's interesting. It's interesting, Stephen, because I lived in Colorado for 18 years, and we moved out up here as well, because the grass grows year round for the most part, and I had horses. So that really makes a huge difference, and things grow so wonderfully here.
Great minds think alike.
Well, we hope we're great, but we're not so sure sometimes. Well, anyway, you enjoy the class and you'll learn a lot.
Yeah. Let's hope for the best.
Thanks so much, Steve. All right, and that brings us to our final presentation, which is Patricia or Patty Fleschner Patty could not make it today, but I'm going to introduce her. So she is the director of the Trinidad Museum currently. She holds a master's in history and has a keen interest in Spanish exploration in the Pacific Northwest between 1769 and 1795. She's presented several OLLI and Humboldt County Historical Society classes on the subject of the Spanish landings, discoveries, and mappings of the coast by Spanish mariners. So this class is taking place July 30th. It will be up at the Trinidad Museum. It is all about the landing of the Spanish 250 years ago up at the Trinidad Head. So the Spanish explorers became the first Europeans to contact the Yurok people at Sarai in Trinidad Bay. So she's going to be discussing what that journey looked like for the Spanish, what sort of came to be with those interactions up in Trinidad, and what that meant for our local area here. So it will be starting at the Trinidad Museum with this sort of lecture, images, aspects of that class. Then it's going to be followed by an optional walk from the Trinidad Museum over to the Trinidad Bay to sort of see some of the locations that she is describing in the class. So for the most part, it is inside in a lecture, but then it will be followed by a short walk over to see some cool sites. So this is $45, and you have until July 25th to register. Any questions?
Well, we want to thank you so much for coming today. This has been interesting. I hope this has been a helpful venue for you to learn about the classes and meet some of the instructors. Anytime you want to give us feedback, we'd be happy to hear about that. And our first brown bag lunch will be on July 14th. And we look forward to seeing you there again. Of course, please do sign up for classes. You can do so anytime after July and become a member anytime. So we'll hope to see you there. Feel free to ask any questions of OLLI, of Julie, of Dane. They're happy to answer. Me too. So you're welcome to do so. And I appreciate you all coming today, and I hope this was useful. We'd be interested in any feedback you have for us about this kind of presentation. Was this valuable? From Sylvia, this was very informative for a new OLLI member. Thank you for your time today. Well, thank you, Sylvia.
Great.
Let's see.
Well, I'll stick around if anyone has questions, but other than that, thank you all for being here, and have a great rest of your Monday.
Thank you.
There is a reaction button if you want to use it, by the way. We don't mind getting immediate feedback.
I always get kind of confused with those. Well, thank you, Jane, for your help with the presentation and organization, as always.
Well, I think we can thank Dane for putting together the PowerPoint.
Yeah.
It's like, bless his heart, he's very well organized. He helps us out a lot. It's invaluable, as a matter of fact. And welcome aboard, Julie.
Thank you.
Delighted to have you in your new position.
Thanks so much. Okay, well, it seems like people are signing off, so I think I will go ahead and end it. Sound good?
Sounds good. You can stop the recording.
Take
We're all
care.
done.
Bye.